Okay, then we're going to start wiring. You can see I've taken a piece of poster board here and mounted the controls that are going to go in the guitar, and I went and spaced them out just like you would be on the guitar itself. So that's the actual spacing that you would have. And now this way we can wire it up and have a little more access to it than what we have inside the guitar. So I'm going to go by the set of plans that we have. Get your materials together, and you can see I've sort of just followed the plans and added my tone capacitors and put my output wiring in there as well, and hooked up what I can with the switch and some of my grounds. And then this will be mounted inside the guitar. But first we're going to put a little hole in between here so that we can ground the bridge to the grounds that go through the output jack. I'm just going to drill a small hole here between that tremolo pocket and the control pocket. See, they're just small enough to get a wire through there. And then that's going to get connected to the bridge. And now we're going to put the pickups in, and you'll notice that I've got them marked, each one where I want the neck, the middle, and the bridge. And I'm going to start with the neck pickup. Make sure you've got the right one. And then I'm going to just straighten it out here and feed it through those little channels that we made back before we put the drop top on. And just pull that through. Get your pickup set in place. Move it on through the next channel. And then finally move it down into the bridge cavity and on into the control panel. And then you can see where it'll come through here in the back. I just pull it on through there and keep it tucked out of the way. And then go ahead and continue this by putting in your middle pickup and then the bridge pickup. And again, if you're using a different kind of wire or something a little larger, just be sure and account for, between the middle and the bridge pickup, 4 wires have to go into that channel. Here we've got the middle pickups in place. And we'll feed that on into the control panel as well. Just tuck that out of the way. And finally, the bridge pickup really just has to go into the control panel itself. Okay, now our pickups are in place. Just kind of carefully turn it over here. Make sure those are nice and snug. And then kind of separate so you know which wires are going with what. You'll notice I kept the tags on here telling me which pickup it was. Now I'm going to cut that wire to go through that hole that we drilled. And push that through. That'll be a ground wire. Again, connecting to the bridge through the tremolo springs. Now I'm going to go ahead and install the wiring kits and get those mounted up. And once they're mounted in place, I can go ahead and start connecting the pickup wires. And I've kind of separated out the ground wires from the leads. Go ahead and connect the leads. Most of those go to the switch. And then once you've got those in place, you can work on finishing up the grounds. They're usually going to go to the pots. And once you've got all that soldered in place, you've got your wire here that's going to go to the bridge, and our two output wires coming out for the output jack. Make sure you've got these in place, that everything's fully functional. You've got plenty of room there for the switch to go to all the positions. And then I'm going to trim that wire down a little bit and go ahead and connect the output jack, solder that in place. Make sure you've got the right connections on that as well. And then you want to give yourself enough room there that you can work with it, but don't leave too much wire, because you've got to kind of push that back in. And then that is the clip that holds the springs on the bridge, and most of them have a little tab there that you can connect the wire to, and I'm just going to connect that and solder it into place. And then I'm going to go ahead and get this installed while we're kind of here working in that spot. I'm going to get it in place where I want it, and then mark the two holes where the screws are going to be. And then I'm going to move this out of the way and drill a couple of pilot holes for the screws. They're going to go in there. Make sure your drill bit's the right size for the screws. We're going to get our screws and go ahead and mount it into place. Just be careful you don't get that wire in the way of the screw. And you just want to get this in place. It doesn't have to be all the way down. We'll make our final adjustments when we set up the bridge. Now we're going to go ahead and finish the pickups. Now I've kind of made some wood mounting rings. You could purchase your own. The rings I'm using are also not finished. I'm going to decide what I'm going to do with those a little later. But go ahead and get your screw started into the mounting ring, and then we're going to put our little rubber kind of adjuster there. Put one on each side. I'm using kind of the little plastic ones. You can also use like a metal spring there as well. And you might have to lift the pickup here and get your cover on, and then go ahead and get your screws connected. And notice I've got a little play in the pickup wire itself that I can pick them up high enough out of the pocket to make those screws connect. And now once we've got this in place, we're going to position our bridge. And remember, we've got our center line going through the center of the body. We're going to line the center of the bridge up with that, and make sure you've got enough room for it to move the way it's supposed to move on the back. Double check that you've got it centered, and then your square to that center line. And then I'm just going to drill some little bitty holes here just to mark where that bridge is. Basically just enough to get into the finish. And then once I've removed the bridge, you can see that I've got some holes started here, so I can go ahead and finish up some pilot holes for the screws. I really don't like to drill the full pilot hole while the bridge is in place. But those little starter holes will give me a really good way to keep the bridge accurate. And once those are in, check your alignment a third time, and then go ahead and install the bridge. Yeah, keep it centered. I kind of like to start with the screws in the center and just make sure that my alignment's good.